Hi, this is Ward Wilsey with ArmorHouse Painting. Today I'm going to be talking about the top four interior paint colors from Sherwin-Williams that I see on a day-to-day basis in the Austin, Texas area. Now, they're probably the top four all across the country, but it is something that is extremely popular in this area as well. And as an added bonus, I'm going to give you two additional ones for each of the paint color to consider to find the perfect color for you. There's going to be something for everyone here, so stay tuned. And if there's not, you can always reach out to us for some alternative selections and some help with selecting your proper interior paint color. Today, I'm talking about the paint color for the whole house. You may have individual rooms that are different colors, accent walls, or etc. But these are going to be real common solutions for a whole house interior paint job. Let's get started. So the top four colors, no surprises here: pure white, agreeable gray, alabaster, and snowbound. These are the four colors that I start with every customer. Even so, first of all, 80% of the time we end up using one of these colors for the whole house. But even if we don't, it gives me a really good idea of where to go next in terms of trying to figure out what they're going to like and what's going to suit their style. So let's just jump into them on an individual basis and we'll go from there. So number one, pure white. What can you say about pure white? It's the white where if you say, "Hey, I want to paint my house white," you got to start here because it's not hot nor cold. It's not creamy nor cool with gray undertones, blue undertones. It's just again pure white. It has an LRV, light reflective value of 84. It's bright, and there's a reason why it's the most popular Sherwin-Williams paint color. Now, it's extremely versatile, can be used with any types of fixed settlements like, countertops, flooring, things like that. And it's actually really useful if you have like really specific things you want to showcase, whether it's furniture, countertops, even appliances, art, things like that. Pure white is really good at that because it'll allow other things to take the front stage over it. The downside of pure white is some people just find it bland. I don't think so, but some people do, and they want something just a little more majestic. If that's the case, let's go over to our pure white alternatives. Number one is Greek Villa, and number two is Shoji White. Greek Villa, I would describe it's definitely a white, and it's slightly warm in nature. But really, the way I think of it is very classic Mediterranean feel. Think like Roman columns. I think of it as very majestic, personally. And I think if someone's like, "Well, I like pure white better than these other ones, but I don't quite like it," that's a common solution for that. It's also one of the top five off-white colors that Sherwin-Williams has, so it's extremely popular. The other one I would go to is Shoji White, and I'd actually go with Shoji White as a possible alternative to some of the other ones in this as well. It's a grayish, meaning it has those gray with maybe even brown, and some people see it as green undertones, but the green is very slight. But Shoji White is, again, a very majestic, off-white color that if you just find pure white boring, might be a good alternative. Shoji White is also extremely popular in combination with pure white on things like cabinets and things like that. Real good color. Moving right along, next color, agreeable gray. Agreeable gray, one of the most popular Sherwin-Williams colors that's out there. You see it all over the place. Why is it so popular? Things to know about it. Well, number one, it's not technically a gray; it's a grayish, which means it has those beige brown undertones. And depending on where you see it in terms of lighting, sometimes you'll see it as more of a gray, sometimes you'll see it as more of a brown. It works really well in Central Texas because we often have different stone elements, especially limestone that has those brown undertones in it. And agreeable gray just works really well with that. One of the reasons it's so popular. I find, I don't know exact stats, but I would guess at least 50% of the time in new build construction, they're using agreeable gray and probably the other 50% pure white. But one of the reasons is just because it is so versatile, especially in Central Texas with a variety of countertops, flooring, appliances, things like that. It's just really nice and really good. So what if you like that gray, but that's not quite your thing? Number one possible option is to go with the Repose Gray, very popular option with Sherwin-Williams, and I would describe this as just more gray. It still has slight brown undertones, but very slight. This is going to appear to you as gray, especially if you have other things in your house that do have brown in them, whether it's limestone or your countertops or whatever. The more brown you have, the more like a grayish that has gray and brown elements is going to appear gray. So for most people, you put repose gray on a wall, it's going to appear as a traditional gray to you. Not always, but that's going to be generally the case. The other one would be drifted mist. Some people actually refer to drifted mist as an off-white, but it definitely has gray elements in it, so I'm including it in this. I would say that drifted mist, it has a higher LRV value than agreeable gray, but it's very similar in terms of being a bright feel, though not quite as bright as your pure whites, your alabasters, and your snowbounds. So it's definitely an alternative. Agreeable gray just isn't quite your thing, but you're leaning in that direction. All right, next on my list for the top four is alabaster. Alabaster, extremely popular, especially in Texas and the Hill Country. It's a white that has creamy undertones, but they're slight. So it's not something that's going to be necessarily repulsive to anyone, but it definitely has those creamy, slight yellow undertones. It again works just like agreeable gray. It works with a wide variety of fixed settlements like countertops, appliances. Works well with limestone, in my opinion. I actually love it on exteriors if people do white. Because it does work really well with that stone that is so common in Central Texas, whether it's limestone or other types. Just a really solid color. Light reflective value, the LRV is going to be 83, so it's bright. Um, and occasionally some people in certain settings will see a little too much cream, like yellow, in it, but that's pretty rare. Most people who are leaning against alabaster are they just like cooler colors and they're going to want what our next white is. But for most people, alabaster is extremely solid. Let's say you like alabaster, but it's just not quite there for you. Where do you go next? And the alabaster alternatives in this case are going to be Dover white and shell white. Dover white, I will say, it's polarizing. Some people love it. It's one of the top five off whites from Sherwin-Williams, along with pure white, alabaster, snowbound, Greek villa, and then you got your Dover white. But there are some people who just dislike it. Why? It definitely has significant yellow undertones, so it appears definitely. Some people will find it too yellow, but some people just love it, and different strokes for different folks, right? Um, but it is something where you like alabaster, but it's not warm enough for you. Dover white is just definitely something to consider next. Another one would be shell white. Shell white, not as polarizing probably as Dover white, but some people, because it has peach undertones in it, some people that may be too much. And that might be too much, especially against something like a limestone, the type that has the red in it. If you have that in your fireplace or something like that, or in your countertops, because it may just bring out too much of that peach, along with just some interiors, rather the way the light hits it. But those are both things that, if you like alabaster, but it's just not enough for you and you want it to be warmer, both of those might be some good choices. Moving right along, snowbound. So snowbound is kind of the zig to alabaster's zag. People will like one or the other better, usually, if pure white isn't their thing. Snowbound, it's technically referred to as slightly warm in nature, but I think I found that people who like cooler tones, meaning sleek, modern, calming, they gravitate towards snowbound, rather than alabaster. Snowbound, just like alabaster, works in a variety of settings, but it is going to work better because it has those gray undertones in it against fixed settlements like countertops that are gray, flooring that is not as creamy. You wouldn't want as much limestone, although it will work with limestone, but it's just going to work better with cooler tones in your fixed settlements in general. But extremely popular color. What if you don't? Snowbound, you like where we're going, but you don't quite like that. Here's a couple alternatives to try. Eider Cove is a cooler off white. And then Gossamer Vale, technically again a gray, although some people call an off white probably more gray, but it's cooler in nature. So that's a good place to go next if you like Snowbound, but that's not quite your thing. Snowbound is bright, 82 LRV, so it's just up there with Alabaster at the 83 and Pure White at the 84. It's bright. Also can be a popular exterior color, especially I find if you're painting over brick. Snowbound is a popular color to do that, or if you're going for that farmhouse look with the white house with the black trim, Snowbound looks good doing that look as well. But for interiors, again, one of the top four, very solid. But I would describe it as just cooler in nature. This also works extremely well if you're doing accent walls that are going to cool down the house even further to give that more calm, relaxed, modern look. You pair this with a navy, a charcoal, like a peppercorn, and it's going to really cool down a house and just make it real calm, modern, especially for bedrooms. That's going to be a really nice look. So reviewing the top four colors, you got your pure white, you got agreeable gray, alabaster, and snowbound. When I go and do consultations with customers thinking about doing their interior, that's generally the first four that I put up on a wall after we, look at the cards, and then that gives me an idea of where they want to go, and then from there we bring in alternatives like I showed in this, and even some others depending on their reactions to get the perfect interior color, for the customer. So hope you enjoyed it. Click the like button, hit subscribe. And if you have any questions regarding painting, go to www.armorhousepainting.com. Thank you.